Hello, everybody. Welcome to my weird and wonderful world. This is going to be a little bit more of a special episode, well, at least for me. I hope it is for you too, because I want to talk about, as the title suggests, a deep music talk with Mo. I want to talk about some of the deeper aspects of music, what it means to me, how I feel about it. What I have 22 albums ready to present to kind of give you a wide aspect. You've seen them before on my channel mostly, but I want to talk about them in a different way. I want to present them. I'll mention other albums as I go along, but this is a video I've been thinking about doing for a while. I don't care how long it is. I want to get into it. But quickly, briefly, before I begin, I want to mention that I did record a 20-minute video earlier where I wanted to show you what was on my like okay, I am practicing this. I am getting much better. I am learning things. I still need to learn to be more coordinated because I know what I need to hit, but I'll still kind of hit the other key, and I don't want to. I want to be able to be accurate and hit all the keys. So I'm learning. I'm learning, but I recorded a demo on my tape deck. Okay, I have it hooked up directly into the auxiliary, so it's tape. Like people can be talking in the background, and it's only going to tape that. So that's cool. It sounds cool in person when I'm listening back to it. It sounds really good. But I wanted to play it for you guys. I wanted to play that and have it be recorded, and when I played back the video after, I could barely hear it. It sounded all staticky and cutty. It cut out. It wasn't picking it up. And that kind of happened the same thing when I was crumpling that wrapper from the KMFDM I was opening the other day. I couldn't hear it when I was listening back to the episode. And I'm listening in earphones too to hear what the sound quality is, and yeah, I couldn't hear it at all. So it was like, okay, well, nix that idea. So I had to scrap that. So, but I'm doing this episode. I was going to do this episode regardless anyway. So, and then also another quick little brief thing I want to mention is that I have been using this. I think it's awesome. I should have got one of these a long time ago. I've known about them forever, but yeah, I have all my videos because I did have quite a bit of my, not all of them, but quite a bit of my videos, my older videos saved, and they're all on here now with some other stuff. But tonight, and I haven't used this yet. Okay, I'm waiting until I can get some maybe some proper instructions so I don't do anything wrong there. I want to make sure I got this working to to the nth degree. That's a an external DVD drive. So I want to use that to rip mostly honestly I want to rip my CDs. I want to catalog all my CDs, every single disc that I own. I want to rip them all and have them as a backup on this. And if I have to buy a second one of these, this is a 2 terabyte. But again, if I need to buy a second one of these, I will because I think for sure it's well worth the investment. And the other one, I would probably dedicate 100% to DVDs once I get to them. But first of all, I want to, yeah, see again, it's all, sorry, it's all revolving around my love and my obsession for music. And so that's my segue into the topic of how like to be deep into music and what it means. And this is what this episode is all about. I want to kind of get into the nitty gritty that and talk about certain aspects that we all know, but I still kind of want to talk about it because I think it's interesting and I think it's something I think you would be interested in too, hopefully. And yeah, I when it comes to music, I mean, we get our childhood memories of our first experiences, and then each and every little milestone that this band or that band kind of tickled your fancy and hit you at the right place at the right time. It is personal. It is so personal. Every song that is out there means something completely different to each and every different person. So so any comparison from one person to another person that, oh, you don't like this song, why not? No, we just like we can never, ever, 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 ever put down another person's taste for music. Just because they don't share the same taste in music as you doesn't mean that their taste in music is bad. You know, it's just that this is what they gravitated to. They heard it at a very specific time in their life. They were at a very specific mindset at their life. They're going through this or going through that. They were thinking about this. They were, it could be any number of things that 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 filters your first impression of a song, and subsequently, after that, that every time you hear that song again, you will associate it to a certain, like, there's certain songs that I can only associate, like, when I hear those songs, I think of the movie that I saw that in, that I heard that song in, or the video that I saw way back when. So so let's get into some of the presentation here. Now, is of course we all know it all started for me per, I mean, it started before that, but it's not until this came out that, and the subsequent one. I'm not going to bring any other out. This is the only Kiss album that I'm referencing. But this was the beginning. Hearing the Black Diamond, the way that at the end, the way that the bass kept on going down, but the whole thing, like the beat, the whole, had no idea what they're talking about really. There's a cool instrumental on here. Um, Ace Frehley wrote one of the songs called Cold Gin, but it didn't take long to learn about the band when when you by the time that Destroyer came out, I was pretty well versed as a little kid into all the ins and outs of Kiss. That and Star Trek and Spider Man. Those three things was my trifecta of my youth. Okay, those things, and this related to Star Trek and to Spider-Man, because these comic books, this is futuristic and fantastic as Star Trek is. I mean, these were superheroes like comic books. Like, it messed everything. And I mean that, like, I you can call me a space cadet, you can call me a nerd, you can call me a geek, you can call me whatever you want. Is that's a badge of honor for me. I think I'm it made me such a better person all around. So, and it kind of started with Kiss and Star Trek and Spider-Man, and then it grew from there. But then, my second favorite band, after they took off their makeup and became kind of blah. you know, they were still awesome. I'm still going to get all the rest of the Kiss. I will, because I think they're still interesting and still pretty decent. But when my when one of my neighbors down the street, Jason Whalen, introduced me to this album, and then I started listening to the rest of their catalog. For a few years, this was my favorite band for the late '80s and briefly in the early '90s. Because when they made their self-titled album, yeah, they sold out. I will admit, and no, I lost respect for them. But they okay. I understand. They gained they gained so many other bands, and I saw Watch Mojo the other day where they that Enter Sandman, well, the Black Album was voted number one as the nu- the the best album, a best metal album that non-metal people who don't like metal would like, you know. So, and I understand because they commercialed it. They commercialed it so it had much more mass appeal, but it lost the edge. It lost everything that made Metallica great. And for the next few years, they went downhill for me. You know, I was like the disappointment of Load and Reload and Saint Anger. You know, like come on, like. But then for me, they almost started redeeming themselves with Death Magnetic and Hardwired to Self Destruct and 72 Seasons, and I actually like them. I think they're way better, stronger albums than the three previous albums that came before them, and but they're never going to be as strong as those three primary first albums. You know, Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, and Master of Puppets. And for me, the close fourth has to be Injustice for All. I really love Injustice for All, even though it's missing a bass. It's missing the bass. Why can't you remaster it again with bass? You remastered it, and I have it remastered, but again, the bass levels are still at the same level. Like they didn't fix the bass. Why remaster it if you're not going to fix the bass? That's me obsessing. But then, of course, not too long after Metallica came around, this album obsessed me. I instantly made them my favorite band, and it's still my favorite band. Over 30 years later. Well, 32 years later, is it? Oh, yeah, like 90 since 92 or maybe very early of 93, but I can tell you that I had not even heard Undertow yet. I don't even think I was even aware of Undertow until like later in 93 when it debuted. No, I knew this when it was just this, and they became my favorite band. But then I had such an experience in Montreal with this album that this is still my obsession. I'm still obsessed about this album. It's still my favorite album of all time. I will never change because like Tool Tool is up here, okay? King Gizzard is about here. Uh, um, other top bands are here, and then everything else is under there. It just yeah, like King Gizzard is at this level. Tool's here. King Gizzard's at this level. Sparks is at this level. Rush, Bell and Sebastian, and other bands I love are at this level, and then everything kind of goes down from there. But yeah, yeah, this album here, I'm not going to talk about it because I know I've talked enough about him already, but I will be talking about him more in future videos, hopefully. But I still want to try to bring up some new and interesting stuff about Tool that I haven't brought up. But again, I don't want to talk about stuff that you can already find on the internet, right? I want to talk about stuff that is my point of view and my opinion, and so I'm expressing my experience rather than you getting a cookie cutter, whatever on the internet. I think that's important to be able to bring a personality to what you're trying to bring. So yeah, and then there's other bands you discovered. Now I want to bring this up, okay, because also as a kid at the same time that I was loving Kiss, that where Kiss was becoming my favorite band, when I first heard that very first time of when I heard this the very first time, this was also in the home. This was also there to listen to. And I remember this was a bit of an obsession for me also. I flipped out when I got told that I could get this on CD, and I have this now on CD, and it's so much better than I remember and I could imagine. Because I remember when I was listening to this on LP as a kid, and those scratches and skips, they became a part of the music. You know, they became familiar, and then you did because you could anticipate them. Every little scratch. I still remember so many of those scratches and skips from those old early albums that I remember listening to. And like, it's funny that you think that I would have forgotten those after hearing the clean version after all these years, but no, no, I still kind of remember some of those skips, even when I like when I we when we had the Alice Cooper. I would play Halo of Fly so often, and I got so familiar with those skips and scratches that I can still I can play the clean version and it's like so beautiful. It just it gives me it makes me smile. It makes me happy that I'm actually gonna I can listen to these albums so crystal clear and the way that I thought they were always intended to be. LP is good if you don't have if you can keep your LPs from scratches and skipping. They do have that warm tone. I do agree. They do have a warm tone that people do love, but I won't. You cannot replace to me, for me personally. Okay, my opinion, the quality and the clarity and the reliability of a good CD. That's just my opinion. But through this, right? Through having known about this, when I was listening to other Bruce Hack stuff, this is because this is Bruce Hack, the Electric Lucifer, created by Bruce Hack. I was listening to other Bruce Hack stuff online, right? And then I kind of let it play, and didn't this play right after, and not the whole thing, but mainly this album here called the Electric Eclectics of Dick Hyman, which features the cool song "The Minotaur," which I would love to see Steve Vai do a guitar version of that song. I think he could do it. I think he could do it well. I think it would sound awesome. But to keep it the same, but to throw in your flair and your twist and everything, Steve I think that I would love to hear that. That'd be a fantasy song that I want to hear. Is Steve Vai doing a cover of the Minotaur from the Dick Hyman, the Moog for Moog as in Moog in synthesizer, you know. He was one of those clear pioneers. This is like 60s from the 60s, you know. Yeah, 1969. Let me just read this back on the back on here. The holy grail of space age jazz, the peak of post orbital delirium. Master keyboardist Dick Hyman collaborated with chanteuse, which means singer, French Mary Mayo, which has that kind of high, like operatic Star Trekky voice. But they have such a perfect. They make such a perfect duo, Dick Hyman with the Mary Mayo. I think that's beautiful. So the first 13 songs, right, are the Dick Hyman with the Mary Mayo stuff, and then songs 14 is it? No, it's the first 12 songs. Yeah, sorry. The first 12 songs are the are basically the Moon Gas. It's just the first 12 songs. Then from 13 all the way up to 22, sorry, 21, yeah. All the way from 20 from yeah, from 13 to 21, that would be the eclectics of Dick Hyman. And then there's two more songs at the end that comprises like its own little mini kind of album, just a two-song little mini album. But they put all three albums because originally when I ordered this, I had only ordered the eclectics of Dick Hyman. It was only that album. But then when it came in, I saw that cover and I was a little confused. I was like, it's Dick Hyman, right? But it's not the one I ordered. And he said, well, it's the one that you ordered. It's the one that came in. And it's only once I opened it and I saw that cover, because that's what I was looking for, that it was like, yeah, okay, that's cool. That's cool. So, under the watchful eye of jazz author Creed Taylor, to produce this astounding artifact of new frontier pop recorded in early 1963 at the very height of Kennedy Camelot euphoria. The propulsive, otherworldly swing was crafted with a sublime melange of Hammond organ, Ondas um, Martinot, prepared guitar, oscillators, and repurposed door buzzers and kitchen appliances. Bathed in the helium highs of moon gas, prepare for blast off with space reflex. The future was never the future was never such a gas. And there was like an emphasis on the gas part. Remastered from the original tapes and presented with the entire Moog-tastic 1969 Hyman opus, the Moog Electric Eclectics, includes liner notes and extra tracks. Space is the place. And yeah, this is I love this. I know I if I play this for my brother or for other people, they're gonna be like scratching their heads saying, you love Tool, you love bands like KMFDM and like great bands and stuff, and you like this? Why? Don't ask me why. It's just something about it that I can put this on at any time, and it just puts. And I don't know. Again, it gets me in a certain like happy mood. Happy mood. It's different kind of music, and and what I love about it is it really does encapsulate the theme of my love for music. Is that eclecticness. I love having an eclectic taste in music that's not just like such a narrow band that this person here has to play rock and roll. I'm not to throw anybody under the bus. I'm not naming names, but there's this guy that lives in the building. He has a scooter. He parks it outside here, and he every time he gets on the scooter, what plays? The first thing that plays when he like starts it up, his radio plays automatically. It's 95% of the time Rolling Stones. I may have heard maybe some Creedence Clearwater Revival at one point. I may have heard some the Who at another point, but mainly I mean, okay, yes, they're an awesome, great, fantastic band. I do love them and need to get more of them, but there's other bands. There's more other bands than just the Rolling Stones. Why does he can't why he should explore other bands. Don't narrow it. Don't narrow your scope. If you I mean, so I know people who they just love the old rock and roll. They only love. Now I try to expand my horizons, and so some of my next presentations here are me expanding my horizons and but loving it. Who knew that I would love an entire album of Peter Schelling that's entirely in German, in the German language? Well, not even just speaking of that, Ramstein or Ramstein, however you want to pronounce it. It's all in German. I have stuff from KMFDM that's in German, Spanish, French. They do other languages, and that diversity is fantastic and wonderful, and what I celebrate for music. So having an album in German, and then speaking of French, my neighbor, she lives in my building. This wonderful lady here, you know, her and my great friend Robert, which you've seen these. Okay, she's the one right here. Okay, she's the one that you see in my video with the Eclipse video. Robert, okay, who plays bass. That's him. That's his signature right here on the bottom. That's Francine McClure's signature on the top. She lives in my building. He lives just kind of a block away. I hang out with him enough. So yeah. So her and him, you saw them in that Eclipse video, especially the where the fifth chapter of Totality. You see them in there for sure. So she did this album. And it's a great album. It's only 20 minutes long. I don't know how far reaching it is or where you can order it or how you can get that, but it's a beautiful little French album. There's a couple of English songs on here. There's two songs, at least two songs on there that she sings in English. Four songs are in French. 20 minutes, very focused, but it's very well produced. It's very pleasant to listen to, and when I know I have only about 20 minutes to spare and I want to listen to something and I don't want to have anything playing or whatever, I put this on and it's perfect, perfect time. So, so, so yeah, I think it's so important to keep an open mind to other music. I mean, I remember like music. Okay, certain music that gives me that throughout the years. Just to give a couple of examples, and I always like to pair these two examples together because this kind of represents a certain era of my life in the 90s. I mean, for me, this really represents the 90s of me getting into a different kind of music that I wouldn't have normally thought of. That I would have liked, but I love. And well, we'll start here with and this is not from anything I saw on Much Music. I think it was from it was from again most likely from a skateboard video from the album Beaster because this is a two album little box set that has a third concert thing. But I think it was Feeling Better. The track Feeling Better from Beaster from the band Sugar, which is fronted by Bob Mould, who is also with Husker Du and does a great solo career too that I think is very underrated and should be explored. I think people should be getting into Bob Mould. I think he's a very awesome singer and songwriter. And yeah, of course he has his fans. He has a lot of fans, like any artist mostly would. But I think he could have been bigger, and he should have been bigger. Like those types of bands like him, they get buried under the shuffle of all this mediocrity sometimes. Of the standards that people just want to gravitate to, the same old, same old. They just don't like. I wish people would be more open minded to other kind of music sometimes. I mean, and then yeah, so from there, when the first time I heard Copper Blue, and then what really sort of fit, they became a great band for me is Hoover Dam. So I mean, yeah, so many of these bands could have been in my top 10 favorite bands, but they're not necessarily. But I still really love them, and that also brings me up to with Matthew Sweet. And this is probably, I would have to say, this is probably my favorite album of Matthew Sweet because and again, he's another one of those singer songwriters that people love. The people who know about him really love him, and I love him. I have quite a bit of his albums. I think I'm still missing a few others, but I do want to get all his albums also. And because yeah, and yeah, I think this is my favorite album. The first album I ever heard of him was a Girlfriend. The first video I ever saw from him was Girlfriend that got me like piqued my interest. It's like, oh yeah, okay. And then from there, yeah, it was just a nice little rabbit hole to fall into. And then I think, and yeah, this album for me personally kind of rose to the top. It is my favorite Matthew Sweet album. Yeah, yeah, it is. I mean, maybe a close second would be In Reverse. I really do love that album. There's something about the flow of that album that just, yeah, that that I love. But then, like also how I can go from one extreme to another extreme. You know how I just recently bought a couple of KMFDMs, but it all kind of started with this, right? Especially the song "A Drug Against War." I mean, like I really love Lust. Lust is again all in German. Is really a cool song. It's one of my favorite songs. I love uh I love No Peace. No Peace is great, but it's basically a drug against war. That's awesome. But and I didn't even. Oh wait, I'm gonna go. I have to get it because it is my favorite. I think it's still my favorite album of theirs that I've heard so far. Mhm. Yeah, I think yeah, World War III is my favorite album, but this would be like almost probably on par. These are my two favorite KMFD albums, and like depends on the day. I guess depends on the day. I guess if I want to go a little bit more metal and more industrial, like rocking and more like in your face metal, yeah, then I go for that. If I want to go just a little bit more in the techno side of it, but still kind of rocking and heavy and crunchy, I still go that. But it's a little bit more techno-ish than this. This is a little bit more straightforward rock and has force in that. And so yeah, they have their own flares, but yeah, and like I've mentioned also before that the 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 track order, okay, is in reverse. It's again bringing up that word in reverse. These are backwards. You start with the intro and you work your way back to World War III. It creates more of a momentum than if you're playing it the other way. It's weird. I more often than not have it programmed so it plays in reverse order, and I love it. I think it's just like yeah, it adds a certain character to it that you don't get going the other way around. But then you got for me it's the trifecta of Ultra, Search and Destroy, and Trust. Those three songs in particular. I mean, Juke Joint Jezebel is a close fourth track on there that I really love, but it's those three songs in particular of Ultra, yeah, Search and Destroy, and Trust. That trilogy of songs. Oh, they're such a drive in there. I love them. I love them. And that's what makes this band one of my, in up there in my favorite band. I love them. I haven't even gotten into this yet. I'm waiting for the right time to listen to it. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but yeah. Um, I am actually going through my heavy rotations. I'm going to be putting. I took some stuff out there that I put them in there because I wanted to get to them, but I know I'm not going to be getting to them right away. So I'm reorganizing my heavy rotation. I'll probably present you an episode in a couple of days, depending on how busy I am in the next couple of days. Like I said, I'm going to be taking a break there from it. But yeah, but I do want to listen to that probably tonight or so. I need to get into that. I haven't listened to that. But my last purchase, actually, when I was hanging out with my friend Little Mo the other day, which you saw in the video yesterday. Well, actually, yesterday I bought this yesterday, and I played it right away when I came back. And it's only 22 minutes long. It's not a long album at all, and it's just basically these 60s decades number one hits, volume one number one hits, and of course, okay, it is the bands. It's the original bands, the Zombies, all those cool bands. I love every song on there, but it's a re-recording of close. such a they almost nail it, but it's just slightly different enough that you know that it's not the original song. And plus, it says it right there. It says new sound recordings. So these are recorded songs of classics, and but I know that they are from the original band, and so I have a few of those here now. Like I was you could say I have two different versions of Nick Kershaw's wouldn't it be good? I have two different versions of that, and they're close, but the second one just doesn't match the certain sounds that you love and remember from the original. But they do it, and yeah, they do it close approximation. They do it in a way that some of the lyrics are even a little bit more clearer. They do it in a way that the lyrics is a little bit more clearer. The instrumentation, they might fix up some flaws in that, but it's because you fall in love with the original songs that when you hear a different version, that maybe even a better version of the song, but it's not. It's because you're so familiar and love the original that yeah, any new changes that you're like, it's not the same. Also, have to bring up for loving music. I have to bring up Suzanne Vega. This is particularly this album and the song Luca. From that video, hearing her sultry voice and her beautiful darting eyes in the video. I instantly had a crush on her, of course, but it was the song, the subject matter, and and I thought it was brave and gutsy, and I got made fun of. I got made fun of for months by a lot of people. As soon as they found out you listen to you like Suzanne Vega, they started making fun of me, and they started getting around that I listened to Suzanne Vega, and they yeah, it just wasn't cool. You just were not cool for listening to Suzanne Vega, but I didn't care. It was a guilty pleasure. 100% a guilty pleasure. I'm going to continue listening to Suzanne Vega because, yeah, I mean, because when you're known for love for having your favorite band be like Metallica, when your favorite band's Metallica, and you say, "Oh, I love this Suzanne Vega," what do you think people are going to think of you, especially back then in the 80s and early 90s? So yeah, that was a guilty pleasure for the longest time. But again, I believe nowadays there's no such thing as a guilty pleasure. You like what you like, and that is awesome. Don't let anybody tell you that what you like sucks, because to you it's good, even if it sucks to other people. And that's all that's important. So, speaking of music that I think does not suck, and I have to bring them up briefly because I wouldn't be doing my due diligence if I didn't, and this discussion would not be complete if I didn't. Now, for quite a while, I was calling this band here, Bell and Sebastian, my deserted island band. That if I was on a deserted island for life, right? But I can only bring one band, like their complete entire works, future and past and future, all their entire works for the rest of my life. Just one band though. This was the band I was going to choose, and people would say, "Well, who's your favorite band? Why wouldn't you choose that?" The variety. But now it's a toss up between King Gizzard and Sparks, okay? And I'm showing you my two favorite albums of theirs, okay? There because there's variety in this and there's variety in this. Like it really like for the longest time, yeah, Bell and Sebastian would have been my deserted island band for sure. Now after the more I listen to these, and I've been like again, I've been sampling other albums of theirs. Okay, the Seduction of Igman Bergman. The I listened to Balls. I listened to Number One Song in Heaven. Um, I listened to a few. I listened to um Little Beethoven. I listened to yeah, so I listened to a few others. I don't have them, but I have now heard them and love them, and I need to get them. I listened to the Franz Ferdinand Sparks collaboration that I need to get, and then I would be like, do I put it in the Sparks or do I put it in the Franz Ferdinand? Oh God, I'm gonna need to keep the Franz Ferdinand and the Sparks next to each other. So yeah, this week coming up when I need to reorganize all my CDs around. I really need to reorganize them. That's going to be an ordeal. And who knows? Who knows? I may even document that. Yeah, I probably try to document that if I can. We'll see. We'll see. I'll see. But yeah, I mean, it was Kimono My House that really like that I the first CD I got of them, and what really I love that CD still. I still think that is a fantastic album. Might be my second, might be my I don't know. Might yeah, where I need to do a new ranking of Sparks there soon. Yeah, yeah. But I want to get more albums. I have ordered an album, like the greatest hits, past tense, which I should be getting in the mail next month sometime. When I'll show that when I get it, of course. But yeah, which one do I choose as my deserted album? My deserted band, my deserted island band. Yeah, it's a toss up because I'm loving both of these equally. I love loving both of these bands. This is this album. So like I played this album more than any of the other King Gizzards that I have, and I played this album more than any others. This is a close second. This is still a close second. I don't know why, but I keep coming back to this. I don't get me wrong. I still really love the girl is crying in her latte. I still really love Kimono My House. But there's something so funny about this album. It's so like that just makes me laugh, and and oddly reminds me of somebody at work. I think I tell them you got to listen to this album because it really reminds me of you in a major way. I don't know why, but every single song, there's not a single song on this album that in some way does not remind me of this guy and his relationships and the stuff he talks about. And it so much reminds me of that. So yeah, I love this album too. So again, I'm not sure where it would rank, but I had to bring that up. Now a couple of little things too want to bring up. Now of course I love just a name drop a few that I'm not showing, but I'm just gonna look around. I have to name again, it's just to demonstrate how eclectic my taste in music is. Because what I can see right now on my rack here, and that's visible, I can see some Childish Gambino. I see my Prozacs. I see my Cat Stevens. I see a whole bunch of compilations like and some greatest hits. I have the Beach Boys greatest hits, but I they don't belong there actually because they don't mix. They don't belong with those other greatest because all the rest of those are not greatest hits. They're just really good 60s and 70s compilations and like from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s compilations. That's what all those are, and these are greatest hits of the Beach Boys. You know, yeah, that's the proper size. Yeah, those are greatest hits of the Beach Boys, and so they don't belong in that. in that. So they gotta go somewhere else. They do. They need to go over with some of the other oldie greatest hits that I have down here with like my Hermits, which with or oh yeah, some of that stuff. Yeah, I'll get into that another day probably. I'm winding down with the rest of what I want to show you. But yeah, like I was saying, there's the Childish Gambino, there's Starcrawler, there's Amo and the Sniffers, there's the Resolos, there's Devo, there's the Pussifer, Perfect Circle, oldies like ZZ Top. I got stuff from Aerosmith. I got stuff from Scorpions. I got stuff from Killer Dwarf. I got stuff from like Prong. I got Joe Satriani. I got even a Ry Cooter album, which I need to listen to soon again. Uh, Joe Satriani, all kinds of stuff, you know. Like I got Franz Ferdinand, I got Iron Maiden. I'm just not, yeah, I'm gonna stop. I'm not gonna list everything. It'll be, I go on for another half an hour probably. But yeah, so also wanted to mention last thing here is this the Antworth. Well, okay, wait. While I'm mentioning the Antworth, I might as well also mention because I'm showing you my favorite album of the Antworth because it was for me it was the first time I heard I Think You Freaky and saw that video and there's something I it just tickled me and then the rest of the album it's super good too. Yeah, this is this because this also has "Babies on Fire" on this one here too. Fatty Boom Boom is on this one here also. So yeah, this is probably this is my favorite The Antworth album. I had to get it. And on the same lines, but a little bit different, of course, is I'm also a juggalo. I do love my Insane Clown Posse. I'll briefly kind of show you without disturbing anything there. You see up there it says Insane Clown Posse. I have the two masks and the Hatchet Man. That's why that hatchet is kind of dangling down there like that because it's represent that I'm a juggalo. And this is my favorite album. It's the most rocking, even though it's still rap. It was what they call horror rap. It's still my favorite album. It has an intro with Alice Cooper. So Alice Cooper does the intro in on this, and and if I would suggest any album of the to if you if, to set to start with for the yeah if you want to start with any album of Insane Clown Posse, you should start with the Great Malenko, okay? And incidentally, I have to bring this up because there's a few. If you know Island Records, okay, Island Records, which did a certain period of Sparks. This is Island Records right here, okay. This is Island Records who did this album, right? This is Island Records too. Briefly, when they were with Island Records, I have some. I remember Anthrax is also with Island Records. I think that's pretty important to bring up that yeah, Island Record had was with them for a bit, but then they went Psychopathic Records again, which still they have their little Hatchet Man on there also. But there's the Island Record logo. So there's an interesting story about them being on Island Record. You can look into that. So yeah, so I guess this is going to conclude my I'm gonna start winding down my talk about music, which is a few little bit of insights about yeah that I'm trying to make music. You know, I'm trying to learn more about music. I want to open up my scope about music. See, I could even talk about the Beatles right now because the like understanding where the Beatles how monumental in history that the Beatles music was, and how many fans. And when you hear the Beatles fans talking about the Beatles, you want to be able to you so badly want to be able to relate to them and be a part of their club, because you feel that you being a Beatle fan, that's a club I want to be a part of. I feel like I'm an outsider. I didn't fall into the Beatles like they did because they grew up with the Beatles. Beatles was a little after my time. I was like they broke up. They broke up just less than a year before I was born. So yeah, by the time I started learning about the Beatles, they were this old band that was past due. They separated, so they were not a big. I hear people talking fondly of them, but I didn't get into the Beatles like I wanted to get into, or I should have. I really should have gotten into the Beatles bigger. I always liked them. I never disliked the Beatles in any way, shape, or form, but it was just never really on my radar. It was just a curiosity that, oh, this is old people's music. I used to consider the oldies, like the 50s and 60s music, old people music. Not realizing how young my dad was at the time when I was that young. I didn't realize just how young my dad was. When you're a kid, anybody who's adult is old, plain and simple. And so you didn't want to really admit that you liked your parents, like your dad's music. My mom was never really into music. It was all from my dad, but also my uncle Frankie was another big culprit and influencer in my taste in music, big time. And then it was radio. Then it was these little video programs that you would catch on the weekends maybe. And then eventually we had a full channel like that was dedicated to showing you videos 24/7. Well, eh, repeats half they repeat half of the day, so you get the morning and then you get a repeat of the morning at night. But still, if you missed a video in the morning, that you watch it and then I missed it, then you can pretty much guess when it could come on later that night and catch it. So that was pretty handy. That was a pretty nice thing to have, that you they repeated the videos later on, so it gives you an opportunity to record it. I wish I still had my box of those VHS tapes of videos. I had hours, hours and hours of videos taped from Much Music on VHS that I was hoping my parents would have saved for me and like kept away and kept the dust off of them, but no, they ended up, I guess, getting lost or destroyed or whatnot, because just because I don't want to say any more than that. But yeah, yeah, my love for music is super, super, super deep, and goes in so many facets. And I'm sure many of you can have similar stories of how you and all the bands that you discovered growing up, or why they're important to you, why they have special meaning, and they mold your character, they mold who you become, and I don't know. I think I I find personally I can tell a lot about a person by what they love in music. And people that tend to not like music, who think it's just that's just background noise. They don't they I ask somebody, what's your favorite band? I don't know. I don't really listen to much music. Uh, I like uh, I like video game music. Yeah, that's my favorite kind of music. Yeah, that's what I listen to. That's not a band. That's just electronic music made for a video game. Oh well, that's my music. perfect, perfectly fine. It's just that personally, I can't really understand that. But no, if that's what you fancy, if that's how you, because that's probably how you grew up. You probably didn't grow up in a family that listened to normal music, and when you started becoming independent and finding your own way, and you latched onto computer games and video games, and that was the music that you were getting access to, then who am I to judge your love for that music? That's the final thoughts I want to leave you with. I kind of end off kind of how I started, just saying that your taste in music is important to you. Embrace it. Don't let anybody tell you it's wrong or bad or don't compare. Don't compare. Just embrace what you like. If other people like what you like, share it, and talk about it, and yeah, yeah. So again, I just wanna, yeah, music is my favorite thing, and I'm gonna let you go because I don't want to start babbling. I just really kind of want to drive this point home and show you some examples of all different kind of times and histories and places of my whole scope of music in the last 53 years of where it's taken me, and every year my love for music just gets so much more, so much more, just a quick quick look at all this here, you know to show you, to show you that. Uh, I mean, again, this is all what I kind of brought out by random. Now, I mean, the Beast Boys was just because of, just because. But yeah, KMFDM, all great examples. Suzanne Vega. But yeah, oh yeah, I did not mention the Fight Club actually. No, yeah, Fight Club. So I mean, also wanted to mention, I got when they talk about diversity, I got stuff like Michael Jackson Thriller. I do have that. I do got Purple Rain, Prince, But this is my favorite soundtrack to any movie because, of course, I'm biased. It's my favorite. It's my favorite movie, and that puts me right into it. And it's a quirky kind of music. It's not your typical kind of music. All right, so I'm just gonna close this up here. Is we're reaching the hour mark, and that's about all I want to do. And then once I'm done posting this and everything, I'm going to save this video and put it on to here so that I can keep it in prosperity. All those videos that I haven't had a chance to keep that I wasn't able to save before I ended up getting this. Yeah, I feel bad about them. I wish I was able to save them. But from here on in, I'm going to document everything and save everything. All right, so as always, please be safe. Take care. I will see you on the flip side. And please, everybody, have a great day, evening, night, morning, afternoon, wherever you may be. And keep it rocking.